Now, today we don't give much reliance to that particular understanding which is not supported by data. And since it is not supported by data, for us it is not a scientific research.
Yeah.
And since it is not a scientific research, so we don't conclude it as a part of modern lifestyle or modern lifestyle knowledge or any instrument, right? This is the core difference between what is modern and what is modern is always scientific because it is based on data, and if it is devoid of data or empirical understanding, then it is unscientific and therefore it is non-modern. So,
And one more thing that what people think modernity is all about is being iconoclast, being maverick,
right,
or breaking all the social norms which has been existing for quite a long period of time.
right. Now, one thing is very clear that modernity is always positive, right? Modernity can be negative only how you understand.
And it all depends on the time in which you are living, the kind of norms which are established and which were started actually in the society. The times had been the time was different,
Right.
and the time has now changed. So some of the norms may not be fitting into today's society.
Right.
So if you think that going against them is going to contribute to the well-being of the society, to the well-being of the people, I think then those who are you can say those who are trying to preserve these norms
Right.
may be feeling a bit disappointed with you. But if it is needed, then I think we should be trying to root them out,
Right.
as has been done by many people as well.
It shows our Indic understanding. It is our Indic culture,
Mm.
which shows respect towards every immediate thing, which gives us some certain, service, right? We are not intent to exploit it. So this very idea of non-exploitation towards the natural resources which is at your immediate service.
Yes.
I think we ensure that it should not be at least misused or overly consumed.
Robin, we are here with a new topic, and it is all about modernity molding or spoiling people's lives. uh, you know that everything means different to different people. For example, from modernity can mean different to some people, and other people can also feel a different way when it comes to modernity. But what we have perceived over the period of time that people's lives have changed in the name of modernity. They are doing things which they ought not to be doing, right? For example, when it comes to talking about dressing sense and talking about eating habits, talking about the lifestyle, we have seen that people are adopting the kind of lifestyle which is uh, not at all good for their health, for their future, for their well-being as well. In terms of modernity, what we are doing, if we talk about eating, the kind of food we are eating, somewhere it is unhygienic, and it is spoiling the health of people. And because we have become couch potato these days, we keep sitting in front of the television, eating a lot, and we don't even move around, and this is somewhere taking a toll on our health as well. And we talk about the lifestyle, right? We talk about the perception of people, the other people have developed. For example, if I don't wear those fancy dresses, I may be termed as someone who is outdated, who is not trying to keeping himself or herself updated with the current trend. So there are so many things which are somewhere dealing with the to this topic. And so what we're going to talk about is whether this modernity is spoiling the lives of people, or it is somewhere molding the lives of people. So if we take a deep dive, say a little about the same so that we can have a smooth and very effective conversation. At the same time, we can give something to the people who are listening to us.
Okay, so it is said that knowledge is fuel to life,
Hmm.
but when knowledge is factually wrong or it is based on incomplete data, then it becomes a festering sore, right?
Yeah.
And then everything gets spoiled up. So the topic we are going to dive in is all about modernity and about its impact on people's mind. What I have understood is that the people, the way they have taken this modernity is not the right way, and the effect of it is very apparent in the society. So it is the right time to come and redefine modernity from the social point of view for the betterment of it, so that this modernity could be accepted wholeheartedly. Because on the one side, when we see some group of people come accept modernity as a new way towards life, on the other side, we find there are some factious group who are so adamant with their values, with their norms, and they treat this modernity as an assault on their norms, on their social or cultural practices. And in this all gyration, what we find at the end is that the real knowledge of the modernity or its impact, which it should be, I think is not properly reaching out to people to help them, to give them a better teaching for their life ahead. So, the overall purpose for creating this video is all about modernity and how we should understand modernity in today's scenario, in today's context, so that we could impart a rightful understanding about it, and we can also champion for those strong causes of modernity which have been hitherto, undiscussed or left untouched. So this is what we have to discuss and deal with in today's video.
A lot depends on the kind of people you are around, because I've seen that people always try to manipulate the things as per their convenience.
Right.
For example, if I've seen even in marriages, if there is some kind of problem in the marriage, or you can say horoscope, this is another tradition of our country. They say, okay, let's match this horoscope with the name or some other ways. So, means same is going with this term, this modernity as well. Those who are comfortable with any kind of lifestyle, they're giving that this particular kind of lifestyle, that this particular term called modernity, right? So it a lot depends on the kind of people you are around, and your life is going to be heavily influenced just because you are around certain people. So first, before we dive into the conversation, let me ask you one question. And the question is, how to understand modernity in the current, society or culture.
Okay, let me be very straightforward on it. See, we all are responsible citizens of the country, right? So whenever we introduce any new concept as a policy to make the country more effectively, working and functioning, we have to be very clear about the concept and its pros and cons, right? And if we are not aware of the pros and cons, then we might face some repercussion of it. Now we have the modernity concept. It's not just the 21st concept. I think it has been for quite a long time, the last 300 to 400 years, especially after British came to India and started industrial revolution. But the history of modernity, goes far back, which we will discuss in the later part of the discussion. So the question which comes here as a moot question, I mean, how we should understand this modernity in today's context, in today's cultural perspective. See, as I told you, I mean, we need to gather a lot of knowledge about modernity, because modernity was introduced, according to me, for making a society more
Advanced
full and more advanced in a sense that working efficient.
Yes, efficient.
Because advanced, many people, I mean, misinterpret this
Advancement, yes.
You know how on the one side, they advocate for the development of the people, including their lifestyle and their education, but they are always compromising on the environmental health. So, one term which is, according to me, very befitting in this context is, is development of the environment, right? Or sustainable development. So, sustainable development you can call a true definition of advancement, because when we deal with this sustainable development, we include both what
The future generation, yeah.
future generations, the current generation, as well as no compromising attitude on the environmental health.
Yes.
And this way we move forward. So, I mean, having said all these things, what we conclude now is that we need to gather information about modernity, and we need to stop people, especially the youth one, from adopting this very misconception, because we often connect modernity to only advancement and accessories of multiplying the beauty of one's face or body, which means it is only just connected to bodily appearance, right? And therefore this modernity has been wrongly understood by a large number of people. For example, we are so much excited always about accepting the outfits culture of different countries.
Yes.
Even it makes us suitable in a particular scenario or a particular environment or not, but we accept it without questioning it. I say that this overall superficial understanding of modernity, which is only connected to your appearance and to beautifying your appearance, I think is not a true definition of modernity, because modernity is what that deals with your conscious level. I mean, it's a very famous, saying that simple living and high thinking. So, whosoever live around us or living across the globe must be used for their inspirational understanding, inspirational thought process. And if we accept this as a part of modernity, I think we do justice to this modernity. Because at the end of the day, we have to live here on this planet, okay, with cooperation, as well as we need to ensure that the planet to be sustainable like this as it is now for the future generations to come. So this very consumerist, thought process must be, discarded in our lifestyle, in our routine conduct. And if we do that, we somewhere do justice to this word modernity. So modernity, what we have understood so far, especially from the today's generation's point of view, is that to be doing everything convention, right? I mean, with this kind of gesture, even
You're flaunting everything you're doing.
flaunting everything, even at the cost of environment, right? I think this is not a true definition of modernity. Modernity means to sacrifice something which is very dear to you, but for the right cause, which gives multitude effects on the larger population. And if we accept this modernity in this way, I think we will do good things in the society, and the societies will thrive as it has been thriving for several centuries. So, in this way, we can conclude how we can understand modernity in true sense. Yeah.
And one more thing that what people think modernity is all about is being iconoclast, being maverick,
Right.
or breaking all the social norms which has been existing for quite a long period of time.
Right.
So I don't think so. Why to show other people that you are the one who is going to break all the established customs? I mean, what I'm trying to say is, if you are trying to be modern, then I think you should be focusing a lot on your thought process, how well you can think, because the progress we have made so far,
Right.
we should be trying to advance that progress, and this can only be done if you are developing your thinking, if you're developing your work style as well, your
Right.
methodology as well. For example, if I'm a teacher, then I've been using the old techniques to teach my students. If I can make some if I can incorporate something or some methodology which can help students learn faster and in a better way, I can then say that this is the advancement of the practices which I've been using so far, and now I've started a newer one, and this can help people grow faster, learn faster. So this should be the way, I think. Just by saying that I'm just wearing different outfits, being there in the class, I'm using a different language, which is being used by people today, and I want to just look cool in front of all those people, and then I'll say that I'm very modern, I'm a modern teacher, right? So I think this should not be the way.
Right.
What it boils down to is whether you are producing something which is really good, and you can say advanced version
Right.
of what you've been using or what people have been doing. The next thing which we have to discuss is, tell me, does modernity threaten the established norms of the society?
Yes.
Because there are so many
Right.
norms which have been established, and if you break them, I think this can create a kind of insecurity in people's minds, or they think that the culture is being threatened because somebody is there who is doing something which is not at all been done by anybody else. So you are kind of having your own way, and you are creating, and this can create some ripple effect as well, right? So what do you think is means the established societies, the norms of the norms which have been established there are going to be threatened because people are being modern.
Right. It is clearly visible, you know, and what is visible that when we talk about norms, social norms, uh, we are actually talking about those norms which are somewhere affecting negatively
Mm-hmm.
the social conditions,
Mm-hmm.
politics, political social conditions, both political conditions, social condition, or economical condition, right? And now we just go back to the definition of modernity, in which we try to conclude in this way that modernity is called sustainable development. So what is at the center here is the humanity at large.
Yeah.
And now if you compare this with all secrets combinedly, then they are also giving the same preaching that the humanity at center, which means we are here for the humanity, right? Humanity to survive and humanity to thrive.
Thrive, yeah.
Right? So everything is only working for some modernity, and modern tools are also working the same way. So
Yeah.
first of all, we need to just discard this very wrong notion is that modern can be negative.
Yeah.
Right? It is possible that you might have a wrong understanding about modernity, and
Yes.
therefore you just have a misconception about it.
Yeah.
And you concluded in a wrong fashion, right? It could be a possibility, but modernity in true sense can never be wrong because it simply means is sustainable development. And when you talk about sustainable development, you have given priority to your environment, the immediate environment, which is our natural source of energy, from sun to tree to river, everything. And at the same time, you are also giving equal respect and responsibility, showing responsibility towards people around you. So now this is how we understand. Now, one thing is very clear that modernity is always positive, right? Modernity can be negative only how you understand.
And
Now,
how you adopt it.
how you adopt it, right? Now, the question comes in as you asked, I mean, what about norms and the social norms that might be hit by this modernity? Yes, of course, it might be hit, but we should not question modernity. If our concept is clear on modernity, then we should never question
It is
the
the person.
validity of.
It is the person who can be held responsible for
Yes,
this.
it can be person. It is always the person who is held responsible for affecting or for just you can say clearing out all these kinds of social norms, right? So it is always on the part of people, not on the modernity. Now there are several norms, social norms, which are not acceptable now, right? We might have heard the concept timeless and time bound, right?
Yeah.
Timeless concepts are those concepts which are eternally applicable, right? So there are certain principles, for example, honesty, integrity, and being true to people, not be deceitful, are all the basic concepts of dharma, right?
Yeah.
It cannot be held wrong at any point of time in
Yes.
our life, right?
No matter how modern the society is.
Yes. So these are the timeless values, these are the timeless concepts. No one can come and counter these things, right? There are time-bound principles too, which were prevalent at one point of time as a part of law, but which is not applicable equally at this point of time because the situation have been completely changed and altered, right? So in this way, we can reject and we can accept according to the consensus of the people. Now we need to check out these norms right now. Are these norms really applicable in the society? And if it is, then to what extent it serves, its benefit or cooperation, especially in helping people to carry forward their generations, right? Because all these rules and norms are only for the for people to thrive.
Yes.
And for society to thrive, right? It is not just for the sake of values we are having it, and on the other side we don't have any benefits, a direct or a indirect benefits from it. So out of modernity, having a concept, if we target these social norms, I think it's better to target these social norms. For example, at one point of time, there was a sati culture in the
Sati culture,
country.
yeah.
I mean, many people called it a part of the Indian culture, Indian society. but it was, I think, completely inhuman.
Yeah.
It can
And
never
child
be.
marriage was also there.
Child marriage was also there.
Mm.
They were also kind of social norms at one point of time.
Yeah.
You can call it anything, because whatever the situation, the social norms and the social condition prevailing at that point of time, we don't know. What we know is the political version of it, right?
Yeah.
Because many people came out and presented the different views on it, but there is nothing clear on it. So we are not going to reverse the same situations or repeat the same situations again in the society. These are the time bound concepts and the social norms, and then these are subject to this modernity. If these particular social norms are tested on the scale of modernity, and modernity gives them green signal, then it is accepted. And if it is not, then it should reject it. I think there is nothing harm in that. So the answer to this question is yes, social norms may be hit by the modernity, but we need to conclude it whether it is for the rightful purpose or it is just for the sake of doing it. This is all are based on our own conscious, and we have to understand it through this, because these days political issues have been created around it, and it has been a part for several years, right? So we should not forget this aspect, the political aspect of it. In this way, we can successfully conclude how the social norms are hit by the modernity, and in what sense we can understand and we can settle it out for the major and the center concern, which is the humanity and the society development of the better.
As you rightly said that it all depends on the time in which you are living, the kind of norms which are established and which were started actually in the society. The time was different, and the time has now changed. So some of the norms may not be fitting into today's society. So if you think that going against them is going to contribute to the well-being of the society, to the well-being of the people, I think then those who are, you can say, those who are trying to preserve these norms may be feeling a bit disappointed with you. But if it is needed, then I think we should be trying to root them out, as has been done by many people as well. This system has been eliminated. This Sasi system was there. It's been eliminated. Raja Ram Mohan Rai was the one who rose his voice. And they rose their voice against it, and then they finally eliminated it. So the things which are not at all acceptable, and they're not at all, good by any stretch of imagination. I think we can go against such kind of system. But in the name of modernity, we cannot simply be discarding all those things which ought to be there, which should be there. For example, if no matter how modern you are, you cannot stop respecting the people who are supposed to be respected by you. For example, you cannot start disrespecting your parents, your the colleagues, and the people you're working with, because everybody has their own self-esteem, right? So in the name of modernity, because you've got the freedom of everything, because you're modern and you belong to the society which has given you this freedom. You can do anything, you can practice anything, right? You can practice, you have the freedom of speech, you have the freedom of expression. We cannot actually do that. And one more thing I would love to say is that actually system is created to bring harmony, right? For example, if there are certain norms, so they have been created because you you can then become wayward if they are not there. For example, we talk about there is a term called jungle raj, right? If the rules are not there, if laws are not there, then people will then be, they will be free. Now, like they may be bull at large, and then uh, they may be doing anything to people. So there are certain things which are supposed to be there, and there are things which you think are not good. You can raise a voice against them. Many people have raised their voice even today. In today's time, many people are doing so. For example, if there have been issues like this religion is also there. It's a big issue, right? So those who think that this their religion is at stake, or it is being threatened, so they start raising their voice. But involving yourself in unnecessary things is not at all good. We should always be focusing on the things or on the issues which are somewhere productive and which are going to help the country and the society to grow, right? So this is what I think.
Right, right.
Next thing which you have to tell me is why modernity is held resemble with the Western culture, because generally we think that people from the West are very modern.
Right, right.
And we have always tried to follow them. Now, I've seen many people,
Right.
if you are doing something, they will not be giving that
Hmm.
much importance to you. But if somebody else from other country is doing,
Right, right.
I think they'll be following them.
Hmm.
This is not what the trend is. For example, because I'm a big fan of cricket. So whenever somebody, especially nowadays, and nowadays it is fine, but earlier this used to be the trend that a coach from foreign country would be given more importance than the coach from the country itself. Right? They would always think that the people from other country are better than the people from our country. So that's why I'm asking you. Tell me why modernity is resemble with the Western culture, and to what extent it is acceptable.
Okay, I mean, let's see how do we understand when any new discovery comes in revelation or new invention comes in existence. We all become surprised, right? And when it comes to these kinds of inventions and discoveries, which came after, obviously, British came in India and started ruling over. For example, Darwin came in and he did a lot of research and he prepared a complete thesis on the on the particular topic called the origin of species. And in this, he proved how a particular unicellular organisms turned out to be a multi or polycellular organisms to be becoming a full-fledged man as we are sitting now, from fish to a conscious man like us. So he tried to prove this entire thing, and he did it through his detailed research. Now, what is the interesting and the very central part of this entire research is that he did it with data. So when I talk about data, which basically the major and the centered part, which clears that what is scientific and what is not scientific. So, for example, if anything which is proven on the basis of data or on the science is held to be science or is held to be science and therefore it is modern. For example, today we are talking and we are dealing with mundane issues. We will give, our acceptance to those events which we can perceive through our senses because we have data, right? And many technologies we have today are almost dealing with this modern techniques, right? And how it was possible because it gave us or always gives us, a scientific data, but it gives us a scientific conclusion of a particular event whatsoever it is, right? So there is no doubt can be raised on a particular conclusion, whether it is or not, as it was earlier. Now, when you compare this process of science with the spiritual process at one point of time occurred during Vedic period, when there was no as such data, but things were equally driven, proven at the same level, but there was no data arranged. For example, you compare Darwin, who did this research on the species and prepared his thesis, and now we accept this Darwin evolution theory. Now you go and compare this particular theory with, you know, uh, your the philosopher, the world first philosopher called Kapila,
Yeah.
sage Kapila, right? And he's said to be the world first philosopher. He was the and he did Sankhya philosophy in which he laid down almost the same rule about origin of people. He talked about Purusha and Prakriti and how he concluded that this particular universe was formed. Everything was almost equal in understanding as Darwin did in its one way, or the modern scientists did. But whatever he did, there was no as such data because there was no as such technology then.
We could not write. So everything was passed down through oral.
Through oral, or you can say the entire research or the entire practice of search took place only in the
Mind,
mental
yes.
or psychology. And therefore, they did it even equally in terms of its importance or significance or validity, right? Now today we don't give much reliance to that particular understanding which is not supported by data. And since it is not supported by data, for us it is not a scientific research.
Yeah.
And since it is not a scientific research, so we don't conclude it as a part of modern lifestyle or modern lifestyle knowledge or any instrument, right? This is the core difference between what is modern and what is modern is always scientific because it is based on data. And if it is devoid of data or empirical understanding, then it is unscientific and therefore it is non-modern. So all these concepts we must understand it very clearly. Now, why do we resemble, this Western countries with this kind of modernity? Just because of this particular trade of their doing researches on the basis of data. Only this particular was the core reason, according to me, because I read some of the philosophy books, almost every philosophies I have read to a certain level. I concluded it that they did their discoveries on the basis of data. And therefore they call it macrocosm. Macrocosm is a particular process where people try to understand universe
through the body.
Not through the body, through instruments. Through instruments by opening their eyes and to do little bit experiments with the environment or the natural or immediate natural objects, right? On the other side, there is microcosm where people have to shut down their eyes or close their
And go
eyes
inward.
and go inward, right? And after they go inward, they do all these researches on the basis of mental speculation, but they are heavily blessed with superconscious. At what Sankhya philosophy deals with, that the intelligence are divided into three particular, parts. One is conscious, subconscious, and the superconscious.
Superconscious, yes.
Subconscious is basically one which refers to animal because animals have its instinct, and instinct equals to subconsciousness. So animals' instincts are very strong, right? They know everything,
Yes.
and they go rarely wrong.
They can even see what we cannot see.
Yes, but it is all instinct. We humans work on this particular conscious, which
Plane
is,
of existence.
yes, which is conscious. And the major difference between conscious and subconscious is subconscious, conscious is maybe or may not be wrong or right, right? It means it's a larger possibility that it might go wrong comparing to subconscious. But there is superconscious, which is basically only a part of these, sages that lived, in our Vedic period. And Kapila was one of those who did it so clearly. So this analysis he did about humans' life and the universal, evolution, I think that shows how scientific it was. But since he is not concluded scientific body because he didn't put on the data, therefore we don't call it modern. This is the only reason why we call Western people as a modern society and we Eastern as non-modern society, because we don't have data. I just want to end this with one particular quote. You might have read one particular, a line of, Hanuman Chalisa. Chok Sahas Jodan Par Bhanu, Liliyo Tai Motherful Janu. It basically tells the distance of sun from the earth.
Yes.
We know that it has been written in there, right? But we don't know how it all happened. We don't have that proof how it all happened and what was the calculation that was made possible by these, superconscious sages and priests. So that's how we can conclude it, right?
You simply, and one more thing, I would love to say is the people were so conscious, they were so elevated, especially in those point of, that point of time, that they didn't even need the system of, writing and all, because they could have everything in their minds. I somebody told me that these Vedas, we can read these days, actually, they were earlier in the minds of the sages. And why they started, they used to just pass it down in the form of oral practice, and they would just tell their disciples. And this happened because the Vedas, all these important scriptures were being burnt down, and then a few sages thought that this culture will then be destroyed. So they started training their the brilliant, I would say the best students for the same. So they started giving these these Vedas in the
Right.
form of oral practice, and they started keeping their mind those things in their minds so that this cannot be destroyed.
Right, right.
And then they were written.
Right.
Earlier they were not in this form, and this written form. So earlier we didn't have this system because we didn't need it.
Right.
Because people were very super consciously,
Yeah.
they were very intelligent. They could remember everything, and they could do everything with their mind's power. But now we need, and that's why we are always focusing on the data available. If you have that we also know that this aeroplane was initially invented in
Right.
India, right?
Right.
Because we were the slaves,
Right.
so they came and they just snatched that thesis
Right.
that the person
Yeah.
got it ready, and then replace the name with
Right,
their
right.
own, and then now they are known as the inventor of
Right, right.
aeroplane. So because we didn't have any data written with this, and that's why we don't
Right.
have this. Next thing which I'm going to ask you is, tell me, India, I mean, that is known Bharat, that is known as Bharat, right? Does India have the ability or possibility of being the model of values for this entire world? And if yes, then how? And if not, then why? We have the possibility of being the model of values to the entire world?
Until I had the experience of reading of a book called India That Is Bharat, I never thought in that way, to be very honest, because I always thought that modernity should be understood only in one context. Is that advancement and effectively advancement, is considering the values of the nature environment. But when I did a little bit more research, especially in our reading, then I found yes, it could be. And it could be understood from the Indic sense or Indic point of view. Indic point of view, how? Because so far we understood this modernity from the Western concept. Since we have talked a lot about how these Western people come and did this inventions and all these, so they took a lot of resources in them.
Yes.
So, for example, if today we want to reach to Mars, and people do it effectively, but for this we have to extract a lot of natural resources. So natural environment is at stake. It is exploited, right?
Yes.
Just for doing each and every invention for its completion. We need to accept it, right?
Yeah.
So now if we turn to oneself, especially to Indic point of view, to Indic way of doing researches, we need to do things at the mental part, psychologically, we all these things what our elevated stage did, then I think we could save a lot of resources from being wasted, right? So in this way we could redefine modernity. For example, our innate uh, bond with the nature is very unique, which you don't find anywhere across the world. So, for example, if I come and enter this room, before we start this, we have to touch the feet of the computer, the laptop.
Yeah.
We have to touch the feet of even the floor because this is our working place. What it shows our Indic understanding. It is our Indic culture, which shows respect towards every immediate thing, which gives us some certain service, right? We are not intent to exploit it. So this very idea of non-exploitation towards the natural resources which is at your immediate service,
Yes.
I think we ensure that it should not be at least misused or overly consumed. In this way, we protect natural resources for the future generation to come and use it for the better purpose. It teaches in one line being a sensible consumer. And this particular teaching can only be obtained only from the Indic soil. Because this is our innate nature. We have many people say crores of Devis Devtas. I say we do it deliberately because when we wake up early in the morning, we bow down a hat before the first ray of the sun because we don't want to, this gratitude towards it. We always want to be gratitude or showing gratitude towards sun. Even the river is always our worshipping figure, right?
We call it mother, yes. We call it mother.
Yeah, we call it mother. Even the animals are our mothers. How we call it.
Yeah.
So in this way, we treat everything humanly, and I think this is the right and the most effective way to deal with the society. So if this particular teaching can be given and imparted to the world, I think imagine the kind of development that we could have at that sort of time, because discoveries would be there, but it would not be lost, and the nature would be always at intact in its value.
And so-called modern people may call it being superstitious, superstitious, something like that. But this is a way to express our gratitude towards the things we are using to our advantage, right? So this is something which we had to talk about. And yes, modernity is good. At the same time, we have to be sensible in terms of being modern, because we cannot always be showing that we have the ability to break all those established social norms. But yes, with something which is wrong can be broken, right? Or something which is somewhere going to help us, for example, expressing a gratitude towards the things which we are using, because this is what we have been bestowed upon. It's a kind of gift which God has given us, and if we don't show our respect and our gratitude towards these things, and I think we are being selfish, and that's what many people will started being, because they're so heavily influenced by those Western countries that they have forgotten the roots. I think if you have lost and forgotten your roots, then you are soon going to be destroyed. Because I've somewhere I read that when a leaf gets disconnected with the tree, it rots very easily. It destroys very easily. But as long as it is there on the branch, it will be healthy. It will be green, and it will be enjoying being there. So being connected with your roots is somewhere going to help you in your life, in your a spiritual journey, and your I would say when you are enjoying all these benefits, then your professional journey is also going to be nice. So with this, I'm gonna take a leap, and we'll be seeing you in the next podcast.